Hey guys, today we got a 2005 Volvo S60. This is the non-turbo, but I don't believe it matters. I'm going to go ahead and replace a bunch of suspension parts today. We're going to replace the control arms on both sides, the sway bar link on each side, the outer tie rods. These just have a cover on them, so this comes off. I believe it does come with the bolts and everything. And then the lower ball joints for each side. And these are, these ones have a 4-year warranty on them. The control arms do. These are the really heavy duty ones by this company right here. And same thing with the sway bar links. These are the parts that usually go out on these cars. I've worked a lot on these Volvos over the years. I've owned a bunch of them. And these rubber bushings go bad, or these ones here, and then these here, they start to make noise. These are fairly easy to replace. These are a little bit harder. And when you start to get into these other parts, they're not so hard, but obviously anytime you do suspension work, you're gonna have to get an alignment after this. The ball joint is probably the hardest thing to replace on this vehicle, I believe, because you do need a couple special tools to get it out. And then to go ahead and reinstall it correctly. Now, I went ahead and got these ones. This is the brand I got for these. They didn't have this brand in these. I'm not gonna even try to pronounce these names. Anyways, I did my research on these, and all the ball joints that I found out there seem to have issues when you're trying to install them. They'd either break or something would happen. These are, I believe these are all German parts. These ones only have a 1-year warranty, which most of these parts do. Most of these have 1-year warranties on most of the manufacturers. Like I said, this brand right here has a 4-year warranty on there. And so do the sway bar link. Those have a 4-year warranty. So that's why I purchased those. They're a little bit more expensive. I bought a kit that pretty much came with all that, both sides. And then I ended up purchasing the outer tie rod ends. Just because I was gonna be in there, I figured I'd just replace them. I'm gonna get it aligned anyways. I got them from IPD, reputable company, been around for years, do a lot of European cars. And this is what I paid for them. It was like $375 for the kit, plus each of the outer tie rods was 25 and change. These are quite pricey compared to if you go on, say, Amazon or eBay. I tried to purchase a set of this stuff on eBay, and it was the wrong stuff. They sent me the this correct. They sent me this correct. But they didn't send me the right ball joints. They sent me something that looked like this, but it was straight. It looked like it was off a different car. I was having a hassle with the company, trying to get my money back, trying to order from somewhere else. And I finally said, you know what, I'm not gonna deal with this. I'm gonna keep this car, it's got low miles on it. And so I'm gonna go ahead and do the repair. I've done a couple of these repairs before. I've never replaced the ball joints on these. I've done the outer and inner tie rods on these cars, sway bar links and control arms. Didn't seem like I had too much of a hassle doing them when I did them, but it's been a while. So I went out, and just to do this job, I went out and bought me an air chisel. So I got this pretty cheap. I think I paid like $60 for the set. It was a used set, but I really needed the air chisel to get the ball joint out instead of trying to hammer it out. Hopefully that goes well for us. Comes with the chisel things here. And then I bought this tool, which is a special tool for putting in the ball joint. It basically lines up the ball joint, I believe, to the bottom of the hub with these here. And then you bang on it and it goes in. So hope that goes well as well. Like I said, I haven't done a ball joint on this car, so we'll see how it goes. I am going to use some air tools and some power tools. So whatever I have laying around here at the shop, I do this on my own personal cars. So we'll see how it goes. I also went out and purchased a digital torque wrench because I want to torque these down correctly. In the past, I've just torqued them down more by feel of, you know, how much I've actually taken them off, and then I kind of apply almost similar pressure to put them back on. Many times you need some kind of a crowbar to get some of the stuff off if you don't have an impact. And so I've kind of done it by feel in the past, but I want to go ahead and try to do it the correct way on this one. I haven't had any issues with my other cars, but I figured I'd try to do that. Bought this tool online, a little bit expensive, but I ended up getting one made by Quinn, got on eBay. And then we're gonna need some, you know, some other stuff, some brake cleaner, maybe some penetrating oil. Might use the anti-seize, might be able to have to use that on there when we put some of the parts on there. And then we have, some of the bolts already have this on there, the thread lock. If they don't, we're gonna go ahead and apply that. And then, you know, probably any other kind of crowbars, stuff like that you might need as well. Maybe some lights to be able to see what you're doing. So actually, further back here, behind the wheel, there's an actual spot where there's a big rubber, like a bushing and part of the subframe. I'm gonna go and jack it up. Jack stand and go to the front right here. So this is where, right there's the subframe, there's my jack. And then in the front over here, this is where we're gonna go ahead and lower the jack onto that jack stand, slowly. Make sure that it grabbed correctly on there. I want to push it a little bit further that way. I want it in the center of that bolt. Rock the car, nothing's gonna happen. We're good there. Next, we're gonna go ahead and take off the wheel. Now, if you have air tools, you can use them. I have this impact here. It's a 20 volt. Works great. Take the wheel off. I'll place the wheel under here. That way, in case anything happens or this thing decides to want to fall, it's not going to fall on top of me. It's going to fall on top of the rim. Okay, so next step, we're going to bring you in here, show you what we're going to kind of have to do. Okay, guys, so to do this job, we're going to have to take off quite a few things to make the job easy. The last time I did one of these, I actually replaced the strut towers on here, and I took off these bolts here to this whole hub. Took the caliper off, and then I was able to get in here, kind of swing this out, and then just you know, get this and hang it up here so that it's not in the way. And then also once we take the hub towards us, we're gonna go ahead and push this axle kind of in out of here. Comes with the new bolt. The kit comes with the new bolt. So we do need to replace that bolt. And then we're able to kind of swing this out. Then we could go ahead and take off the lower ball joint bolt. Take off the two bolts that are here from the inside. And then also take off this bolt here. Now, in order to get this hub off, like again, we need to take off these two 2 long bolts that go through here. We're gonna take off the speed sensor. Last time I didn't take it off, but since I'm pulling the whole hub out, we are gonna have to take the sensor off. Let's do that, pull it straight out. Push it out, push this out of this rubber thing here, out of this bracket. I'm gonna go ahead and push this, get this out, and then get the sensor, move it out of the way. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna spray penetrating, any kind of penetrating oil you might have. I only got WD-40 on me today. So this is what I would recommend using, any kind of fluid on these bolts, because you don't know how long they've been on there. Now we're in California here, so my bolts aren't rusted like most bolts are. And then also the sway bar link arms here and here. Now these were replaced a few years ago. Just get them nice and soaked. We're also going to take off the brake calipers. I mean, you don't need to spray them. If you want, you can. I mean, I've recently done these, so I know they're going to come off fairly easy. It's not going to be a problem. We're going to end up taking this piece off of the arm, so might as well squirt those. Squirt that one away back there. Right now in a second. I'm not going to squirt the speed sensor because I don't want to get any fluid in there. I'll just slowly take that one off, and then the outer tie rod in and the nut. That's right here. I think we shot them all, so we're going to go ahead and grab our tools and get started taking this apart. Okay, so the first bolts I'm going to take off are the ones for the caliper here. They're 15 millimeter, located right behind here. There's one there, and then there's one right on the bottom of there. Also, there's like an arm that comes down on this side. So just you know, once you take it off, it might fall down. So that first bolt comes out of here. Second bolt, it's gonna be right here. Gonna come out of here. Here's that arm I'm telling you about. Don't know if you can see the tear in there. See that? Right in the middle. And then I thought, well, before I sprayed bunch of WD-40 on these bolts, those rubber pieces right there kind of look a little bit old. I mean, I think it still looks okay. Ball joints look okay. All this stuff kind of apart, I might as well replace it. This car only has 102,000 miles, so it doesn't have a lot of miles on it. But the suspension on these things, like I said, they wear, and they have a lot of issues. Now the caliper is going to want to fall down. So you want to grab that, get a zip tie or a bungee, whatever you have, and just try to bungee it up here or zip tie it up to the top up here so it's not in the way. Secure it as best you can. Get that out of the way. I just basically just strapped it up to the tower right here. And then we're going to go ahead and finish up taking that bar off. Basically that's like that. So that bolts on to the caliper. Caliper goes inside, right behind this disc right here, the rotor, and then this goes through on the side right there. So basically that goes like that. Caliper sits in here and it gets bolted to that. Take those two bolts off, that comes out. So keep your bolts together. This goes on this side, we're going to move that to the side. So next step, we're going to take the speed sensor off, which is located inside of here. There's a little 10mm bolt like I showed you earlier. Now this shouldn't be too tight, but you might need a light to see it. Just go ahead and take it off. And then you're just going to pull the cable straight up. There's the bolt. There's your sensor. Only goes in one way. Next, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and take off this off the arm here. Push it through. Whatever works. Push it through might be easier. Take it out. You just hang it up on top on your strut. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take off these two bolts up here. Don't hold it. Get these loose. Tight. So basically I took a 21 on the nut, and this one actually was a 19 to hold on to the outer tie rod. And then just back off that bolt a little bit. Now, once we get the bolt off of here, we're going to have to hold the inner tie rod from here and then spin it counterclockwise, and we want to count how many turns that is. Okay? And so when we put the old one back in, we're going to try to get it close to that. Let's see if this thing is obviously spinning now. So the other option is going to be here, is to hold the end right here with like some vice grips or something, and then, you know, loosen it by hand. Okay guys, so these bolts are going to be a little tough to get to because you can't really get any big wrenches in here. So it's got to be something kind of small, maybe even a breaker bar. Obviously, if you have a lift, this would be a lot easier. I'm working off the ground, so this is hard. So I had to actually get my breaker bar in here and then get a bar and then break it loose. And then I had to take the socket off, shift it, because I don't have enough room on the floor, and just keep doing it like that, and then just keep, you know, rotating it till you get it. Once you got it like that, then you can put your regular socket. Don't try to use a regular ratchet, I'm sorry, on this, because you might end up snapping it. And you don't have a lot of room here, so once you start to get close to this, the edge right here, then you're gonna have to use like a inset wrench, or maybe with the swivel you can get it out. Okay, so now we can get the hub out of the way. You just pull this, just go straight out. That's a 13. All right, you got it loose. Okay, so you want to count the amount of turns that when you remove it, okay? So put a plus sign on it, so every time I see it, it'll be a full turn. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So by that 23, it came out. Write that number down because you're going to forget. Now, it might not be the same on your car, just so you know. Nope, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to spin on us. Now this one does have a Torx bit on there. Some people cut these. Might be able to grab it with some vice grips on this side. Okay guys, so the sway bar link is giving me some issues. It just keeps spinning, even I'm using my impact gun. So what you want to do is use a T30 on the end of this, and then take your 15 and then hold the T30, which is that center piece, and you'll put your combination wrench on there, and then with your T30 you'll stick it inside the slot hole, which is on the opposite side of there. You're just going to hold whatever T30 you have. I just happen to have this. I don't have anything else. Just hold it and it'll break it loose. I tried holding it back here with some vice grips and it did not hold. I could not hold that sway bar link. It just kept coming off. There we go. Get that one off. And these ones should come with new nuts because they're locking nuts. So this is the next nut we got to try to take out. So we're going to try to move our caliper to the side. And you can try to zap this again, see if it comes off. I don't know what size this one is. This one's an 18. Bottom one's 15. Try to zap it really quick. Just hit it as fast as you can. Oh, that one came off. All right. And then that just comes out. So the larger screw is going to go on the top, guys, just so you don't forget, okay? 18 and then 15 on the bottom. Aftermarket ones, sometimes they, the sizes might be a little different on these ends, like a 14. I remember I replaced some aftermarket ones. I don't know about the ones that I just bought because I haven't checked those, but when we get to that point. So we got all the parts out that we need. Sway bar link out. Outer tie rod, which we think that might be the issue here on this side because the noise was coming over here. These are kind of a little bit loose. They shouldn't be. They should be pretty tight. This seems a little bit loose for the inner tie rod, but I don't have that, so I'm not going to replace that today. We were just kind of getting a little bit of a clunk every once in a while when you like turn into a driveway, but it was very sporadic. Like, it was not very common. And then the control arm, as I showed you earlier, the bushing on that was kind of shot. So we're done taking all this apart. I think we want to attack the that lower ball joint first, get that off of there, and then go from there. Okay, guys. So if you weren't gonna replace the control arms and just replace the ball joints, then you just have to take this bolt off. And if you couldn't get it off and it starts spinning on you, you could use a T40 to hold it. And then break it loose. In my case here, I got a couple of options here. I mean, I could take it off just to take it off, just to get this out of the way. But I could just take my air hammer, take these two bolts off, take my air hammer and take this off in one complete piece and not have to even deal with the bolt. But since this is an educational video, we're going to try to zap it first. If it doesn't unzap, well, it did. Look, there you go. It's kind of concaved. There you go. It's got a smaller concave on the bottom, larger concave on the top. We are going to have to take these off and put it on the new control arm. So we'll get that out of the way. Now we got to unzap these bolts that are here. Yeah, they're 14. Same thing, I'm going to go ahead and zap those off. I mean, if you want to put some penetrating fluid on there, you could go ahead and do so. I think it's going to do much. These ones should come off. You want to let that sit, come back. I'm just going to zap it. There's one. There's the other one. And as you can tell, they do have Loctite on them. Okay? They use the red one. Now, this ball joint seems like it's good. It's nice and hard. I mean, I'm still able to move it, but we're already here, so we're going to replace it. We'll take our air tool, our air hammer. Never used one of these before. So just you stick it in there and then you just turn this piece, tighten it down. It's gonna get a little loud in here because my compressor, I gotta turn it back on, start trying to hit this little spot right here on each side and try to drive that out. There you go. This little tool is worth it. This little air tool is so worth it. I mean, it pulled this thing out really easily. Wow. It only goes in one way, guys. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of clean this up a little bit. Now, a lot of guys use anti-seize. We're in California. We don't get a whole lot of moisture out here. So, I mean, I don't know. It's up to you. I'm going to put some on there. I don't think I'll ever be replacing this again. Probably sell the car before that, but it's up to you if you want to go ahead and use some of this on there. I have some. I don't know why, but don't put a lot, and don't put any on the threads. Just put a little thin layer, maybe all the way around on the inside. That's gonna put a little thin layer on here, but not inside of there, just around. Super thin layer. This is actually overkill. I don't think I need it here. I'm in California. Again, we don't have much rain at all. But just so somebody doesn't say I didn't use it, you know? Because that's what's gonna happen. One of you is gonna say, why didn't you use the anti-seize? You know? Making this video, I just broke my other camera. It fell on the floor, so I'm pretty bummed. Now I'm videotaping off my cell phone. The stuff I do for you guys, man. Okay, there's the bolts that come with this deal here, the ball joint. 2 bolts already have some anti-seize. It's the red on there. Similar to what they have, so it already has it on there. You gotta put any on there. This is a nut that goes on the bottom for that. And then this is the bolt that goes inside for the axle. It's already got anti-seize on. So try to kind of just like press it in the best you can with your hands, straight as you can. And we're going to use our tool that we bought. So the way this tool works is you go ahead and thread this in here. Kind of guides you. So it gets threaded in like this. And then this will make sure that it's going in straight, because it has a little sleeve here on each side on in here. So we want to go on that sleeve. That way you know it's going in straight. Now these are bottomed out. This. I'm trying to make sure this is going in even as possible. Okay. Goes like this. Okay, so it's a certain way that it goes in there. And then we're going to tap it on this side, okay? All the way in. This one's much harder, see? You just unscrew these. That cost me a little bit of money, man. Okay. We're completely seated in. Get our 2 screws. Gonna put those back on. Make sure you hand tighten them in there first. Make sure the bolts are going in straight. They should, but what size are these? See what I mean? The original bolts are 14s, and the ones that come in the kit are not 14s. They're gonna be 13s. That's crazy. I don't know if it's they do that because of copyright, maybe. I don't know. Seems really ridiculous to me, but okay. So these ones here, we're gonna go ahead and zap these in. Remember, they already have Loctite in them. Now I'll go ahead and torque these back down once I got them on the car. On my phone I have the specs on there, so I don't know what it is off the top of my head right now. So they're pretty tight with that impact, but we're going to tighten them down correctly, like the way they're supposed to be. Let's grab our left control arm. Let's move this aside for a second. We're going to take off the little stop here. Take those two off. These also have Loctite on them. So I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite back on there. It's going to go back on there like so. Clean this first. Okay, so I clean these bolts. Now I'll put a little bit of this thread lock on there. These ones weren't super tight. I don't know if you need to torque those or not, but probably not going to torque those. Okay. Goes to the bottom. This is going to go like this. This is going to go back on here like this. Now we're gonna go back to the car, try to get this put in. I thought about this before I go put the control arm in. I'm gonna put the outer tie rod on. The reason I'm gonna do that is because it's easier to get in here right now, okay? So just make sure it's the right one. Measure it up. Go ahead and try to put that on there. Try to get our first one. There's 1, 2, 3. I'm using this as a reference. 4, 5. $23. Tighten up our nut. And it should be almost like flat. Now, pretty sure it'll work like that, but to be 100% sure, You probably don't want to torque that nut down yet. Maybe leave it a little loose, so then that way, I'm just going to hand tighten it. That way I can spin this if I have to spin it to get it into the arm over here. And then once I got it in, then I'll tighten it down. So put that aside. Next, control arm with the whole hub. What makes this hard is because it's kind of heavy. So another way you could probably do this is put the jack underneath it, lift it up and have it hold it for you. Okay. So it goes in from the bottom. Get ready. Just to hold it for a second for me. Not too bad. So far not too bad. I'll flip this out, put it in, boom. Now I'm gonna get these two. Okay guys, so the next two bolts we're gonna put in, I'm gonna put them in from the back side. I'm gonna climb under there. I'm just gonna kind of lift this up just a little bit just to get them in. I'm not gonna bring you around because I can't keep moving the camera. I'm running out of video footage. Okay, it's probably gonna be easier to put the jack and kind of lift this up a little bit. Might be able to do it from this side if I lift it up, and then I could just turn the screws with my hand. Yep, I just had to pull up on this a little bit. Sorry I can't show you. I'm actually just turning the bolts from the back side as much as I can. Man. But I do want to support this because it makes it a little bit easier for me to put the bolts in. So I think if I get my jack, there we go. I think that'll make it easier for me to put the bolts in. So just try to tighten these as much as you can. I mean, obviously you can get a ratchet in there or something. If you have one of those curve combination. So the control arm, all the bolts on the control arm, the two that go right here and the big one, they're all at 65 Newton meters, which is equivalent to 48 foot-pounds, and then an additional 180 degrees or a half a turn. So we're gonna go ahead and try to torque those down. It's gonna be hard to get in here. I'm gonna have to get a feel for one side and then do the other side manually. If I can't get the head to fit in here. Let's see what we got. So we're at 65 when we said 180 degrees. So now I'm gonna change this. So it should be a full half turn. 27. Man, that's a lot more than that. It says right there. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to tighten this one. This one I might just have to do it by feel. Ooh. 180 degrees. I get a feel for how tight this one is. Okay, I think that's tight enough. The inside, the bolt closest to the front of the engine, that one's hard to get a torque on there because you just can't get in there. So I got my 21 on the bolt right here. I'll hold that, and I'm gonna screw the bottom in. This one up here, I don't believe I have a 21. I'm gonna double check because it's supposed to be the same thing, like 50 Newton meters. Let's see if this one will fit there. So that's tight, and then we're gonna go 180 degrees. See, like that. We're supposed to pull on the inside part, not so much on here. Why, I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me, but hard to get leverage on there when you're grabbing it from the front. Sort of need a deep socket for this too, which I do not have. Oh man. So I'm gonna give it a full turn, but I'm gonna use my, I'm gonna half turn more, but I'm gonna use my, my big wrench over here. That should be a good half. Okay guys, my battery and my camera's broke. So anyways, I'm gonna bring you over to the other side real quick just to show you over here, because this is supposed to be the harder side to do, which is the passenger side. There's a line right here. All you gotta do is unclip it. Let's move it out of the way. Slide this over and get to these two bolts right here. Okay, same thing. One's probably gonna be easier to get to than the other. This one's a little bit tighter over here, because there's a line right here, so just be real careful when you're getting there trying to take that bolt out. You might have to push it up, or you could either unclip this and kind of push it up. I don't know if this line is metal, so I don't know if you want to unsnap it, kind of lift it up. I would just leave it in place, just try to work around it. That would be pretty much once you get these bolts out. Okay guys, so my battery died as I was working on the other side, broke my camera. So now I'm filming off my phone. So I'm just gonna show you on this side what I did on the other side, okay? I think I got to the point on the other side where I was putting in the control arm and I was gonna put these other parts in afterwards, but I think it's easier if you actually put these parts in first. Put the outer tie rod in first. Obviously, you're just screwing it in. Make sure you replace the little bolt that it comes with. It comes with another little, a nut. And then it comes with also a new nut for here. Then go ahead and install your sway bar link. The bigger bolt goes on the top. So get that in there. If you're having a hard time on the bottom, getting the bottom one in or getting it in there, get a pry bar and just kind of pry down a little bit like that. And then just kind of guide it in there. And then try to use an impact on this, because these don't have, at least these ones didn't. These ones I bought at IPD didn't have a Torx end on them, so you have to put them in with an impact. If you try to put them in by hand, it's just going to keep spinning on you, and there's no way for you to grab it. I had to like back these out and then go ahead and just full force with the impact, and then I was able to get them in. So I got this part in. The next step is I'm gonna grab this whole control arm with the hub and the rotor. I mean, obviously, if you wanted to make this a little bit easier, you can actually take the rotor off, make it a little bit lighter for you. But I'm not gonna do that. I did the other side. All I gotta do is just guide it in here, get the bolt to kind of hold it. And then the hardest part was when I think when my video died, I was actually trying to push down on the hub to get this in here. And so what I did was I actually stuck like a really long screwdriver in here, and I kind of pried down. I was pushing down on it, and then I was able to get the bolts in here. So I'm gonna attempt to do the same thing, hopefully this time on camera. I don't have a lot of battery left, so let's see how long it lasts. Okay guys, so what we got going on here is we're gonna go ahead and put the control arm back in. So we're gonna go ahead and lift it with all of this. Now, if you wanna bring your jack over, I have the jack right here under the car right now. I could actually probably help me to get it up there, but I got it up there without it. But once I got it up there, then I'm gonna probably need it. So we're just gonna go ahead and lift this. Try to get it up there. Funny thing is this side was the harder side to get out. I don't know if this thing was bent or something, because it was really hard to get out of this one. The other side just slid right out, and I was able to slide the other one right in. I think I'm gonna have to put it up on a jack and then tap it in with a rubber mallet. There it goes. Okay, so we got the bolt back here in, the one for the control arm. Just got to just shake this around to get that bolt to go up. Still needs to go up a little bit more. There it is. I'm just going to hand tighten that and then guide those bolts in right there. Basically what I'm trying to do is I got to see the bolts come in through here, and just turn them from the back side. This jack is really not helping me right now. Let me see if I can lower this. Ooh, that's perfect. The bolts are at least started in there. This one I got it almost all the way through. The other one I have to go underneath. And these are 17 millimeter under here. On the one towards the front, on the passenger side, you can get a ratchet in here, which is good. This other one, can't get a ratchet in there. Just kind of turning as much as I can with my little breaker bar. Trying to turn it by hand. You might be able to use a universal, one of them U-joints. That might actually work in here. At least to be able to get it close, and then you can just torque it down.
The good thing is when I like to, you know, I did put a thread lock, but before I did that, I kind of cleaned them off. I usually throw some WD-40 on them and wipe them down. That way the bolts go in a little bit easier. Sometimes they don't want to go in. And right here, you can't fit a regular ratchet on the bolt that's further back. Now these bolts were pretty tight. I took them off. I couldn't take them off because I'm on the ground, so I couldn't take them off with like a regular breaker bar. So I had to use my brain and use like a wrench to do it, like a wrench with my breaker bar, because I'm so low to the ground. These are super tight. Again, these are like 65 Newton meters. And then it says $180. Perfect. I got those two. This little line back where it belongs. We're done under here. Okay, now I got to get to that bolt back there. Now that one I don't have a deep enough socket to tighten it, so I'm just going to try to tighten it as tight as I had it. I thought I had it. So I took it off with one of these and an extra wrench. So I'm gonna torque it down as much as I can, and then I'm just gonna give it a little extra. Back on there. So these three are all 65 Newton meters. The ball joint on the bottom is 37, and then this tie rod end is 37 Newton meters. These ones are 180 degrees also. So it's probably a little bit more than, obviously, it's more than 65 Newton meters. It's a little bit more than that. That's why you have to tighten it like another 180 degrees. So get those as tight as you can, man, because those do have to be pretty tight. And then I think this one was, I want to say it was 50 Newton meters, I believe. So now we're going to try to do is guide this into here. Turn this. It's going to be fun, because it's got the caliper on there. A little tough. So I do need to push this down and get it in. This is where we're at the last time when my video cut out. So you could try a couple different techniques. You know, obviously this is pushing this down and then pushing this forward, because we got to get this through here, is what we're trying to do. That's around. There it goes. Just came through. Perfect. So we got to push down. I push down, get this back in here, and then put the bolts in there. So now it sort of worked on the other side. I really kind of just kept pushing down on here until I finally got one of the bolts in. Could do, just get the bolt, kind of hold it on there like that. That way the axle doesn't go. But when you're pulling on this, remember you're pulling on the axle a little bit, so don't want to pull too much. Okay guys, so my battery died again. So anyways, we went ahead and put these back. We were able to push down, get these bolts through, go ahead and torque those down, and then torque down the this one. Make sure, obviously, the ones on the control arms, the two that are back down here, there's another one over here, and then the ones here for the caliper, there's one here, and there's one on this side. And then you want to put the little 10mm bolt here on your speed sensor,
route that back through there, and then make sure that this is torqued down. I believe this one is 50 Newton meters, and then I think you have to crank it down a little bit more. You might want to look it up. I think it was 37 Newton meters, and then it was like something like so many more degrees. I can't remember off the top of my head, guys. I'm kind of pressed for time here because the shop's gonna close. That I need to take this to get aligned on, so I got to put the wheel back on. But that pretty much does it, guys. Thanks for watching. Sorry, the video kind of got cut off in certain spots, and I had to kind of go to different areas. But you know, I got the gist of it there for you guys. So hopefully, good luck. And if you have any questions, hit me up.